what I'm coaching, right? I said, bro, I'm coaching life.
We live, right?
I said,
Yeah,
bro,
we
I'm
in there.
coaching
Right,
life.
right.
They
Nah,
asked me
the
what I'm
music's
coaching,
still on,
right?
so we
I said, bro, I'm coaching life. I said, bro, I'm coaching life.
So the main review then, we need you to lead it because you the guy, bro, on the movie thing.
So how many? All right, y'all all seen Ant-Man at least? Y'all seen it one time, right?
Yes.
Only one time.
Yep.
Because
I
I know
saw it
Vincenzo
twice.
might have saw it twice. See, all right, that's why I want to know because I want to see a different if you got a slightly different perspective
I do.
the first time and the second time. Because now at this point, I watched it once and I watched it opening night, so it's kind of like it's not like super fresh. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Even with me, that was what was that Sunday or
Yeah,
Saturday?
what,
Last Sunday, like
so,
yo,
as of today, it's about 6 days ago or so.
damn, that's bad. We received so much content,
But it's a
now.
lot of stuff going on throughout your day, and you work as a human
Yeah.
being. So, but yeah, go ahead, Zay. My bad.
so just I think the best way to say is, are y'all happy anyway? Like, just say, how do y'all feel about the Ant-Man movies in general before we even got to this one? His role, their role, Ant-Man and the Wasp is Ant-Man and the Wasp now. And how did y'all just feel about those before we even got to this movie? And then how their roles played throughout the rest of like Marvel over the last several years?
And you mean like in a sense of good or bad, or like
Just whatever y'all think
Just
about
what do we
the
think
role
about it?
that they've played in Marvel, whether you like it, dislike it, and how do you feel certain ways about it?
Well, with me, I'm a nerd for the comics. So I know Ant-Man is like one of them characters where you're going to be like, why is he still around? Anyway, because that's just how it goes. And as far as the movies, I didn't really care for the first one, but I really like the second one. And I really like where they going with it now. And I really think what Marvel is trying to do, since they about to introduce so many characters, they just making this astronomical idea digestible. You feel me? I feel like they did a good job. I like the second one I loved it. And then this one, I definitely rocked with it too.
Yeah. So for
about you?
Ant-Man, for me, if you're asking how I felt about them, they were not my favorite movies by any stretch of the means, but they fit congruent into the timelines that tend to happen. So they have like minuscule things that lead up to what may be happening soon, like as far as introducing in that other reality, as far as the quantum realm, and just, you know, the little things that they've done. So I enjoy them also for their little comedic wit. Dry humor is like my thing that I just like in general.
appreciated
And you
that.
probably could tell from my delivery just on this podcast. So I like that and I value that in general. So I like it when you can put it into a cartoon or a comic book that I may have read, or even a
did it
cartoon that I
gracefully
used
as
to
well.
watch back in the day. Some people don't feel that way. I've heard that. Like people feel like it's kind of like hacky now. Like they reaching for those type things. And I get it, but I like it in there. It's a comic book. Like this is the kind of things that you see. Like these I don't know. So for me, I would say if I had to rank the three of them, it'd probably be similar to what Mike said, 2, 3, 1. The third one I would put in second place. I actually like the second one a little bit more, just because it ends and it leads us into like my man,
Yeah, 'cause you
Thanos.
remember
We
he
get
got
into
real
our
small
Thanos
and
shit.
then-
Yeah, it's getting real. Ultimately, what I loved about the third one though is the introducing into Kang, and then a lot of the deep dives that it forced me to go into, because I didn't know a lot about Ant-Man. I won't ever profess to be the most well versed on the comic books. So when I started doing a lot of my anthologist is hilarious.
Antologist, Ant-Man.
You know, when I started doing my deep dives, I actually started listening to my man Heavy Spoilers. Salute to them over there. He put me onto a comic book that led me into getting more into Kang. I wasn't really familiar with that nigga, truthfully. If I'm being all the way honest with you, I'm not all the way familiar with this nigga.
And
yo.
that was like
so I had to
that was
understand
later
who he
Marvel
was.
shit too. Like they weren't the main.
Exactly.
It was like
So
you
I
gotta
got
keep reading.
it started introducing me into new comics and shit. So what Ant-Man is
I think King was only
ultimately
on like the Iron Man cartoon. when we were
ultimately
kids.
what I'm saying
Been
is
around for a minute though.
But
ultimately
I'm talking about like '90s cartoons for us.
You talking about like cartoons?
cartoons, comics like
Nah,
that
he
weren't
been-
like.
I gotta remember. All right, let me. I'm gonna let Rich cook.
My bad. Go ahead, bro.
ultimately what I'm saying is I forgot now. But as far as with it, Ant-Man itself, I enjoyed where they taking us with it and where it could lead to, I guess, per se. Because it led me to this comic book that I'm reading now. and I'm hype about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kang been around since like the 60s.
Yeah, he's been around.
Damn.
He's
I
a
didn't know
comic.
that.
He's been
Maybe
a
I'm more
this
of a
old
novice.
comic
the
than-
Fantastic Four for them. Like he has a
Yeah.
hard tie
He's
into this
actually
shit.
one of the,
Like, I'm
like,
hyped to see how they
key
tie him
people
into it.
in Avengers really.
He was that
Fantastic
big
Four.
bad that we was looking for, like that kind of guy. Like he's gonna be around for a minute. Yo. The nigga,
And
and
he was originally a
in
white guy.
different forms, like it's wild. Yo. I can't wait to see this nigga, like how they do it. And they, no man, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Let's keep
Zay,
going.
how'd you feel about Ant-Man?
Well, real quick, do y'all feel like the Ant-Man? Do y'all feel like he's becoming kind of the Tony Stark for this whole new joint? Because that's how they trying to put him in that realm.
I think
It feels like they're kind of building a little bit around Ant-Man to me.
if they go based on like the old ass cartoons, Spider-Man becomes like the Tony Stark, and he probably gonna become the Spider-Man.
He should be.
That's what I feel like they gonna try to do, like the play, because Spider-Man gonna be the only person nobody knows that's a genius, biology phenom type shit. Like, yo, it's gonna be like that.
So, Mr. Fantastic, because Fantastic Four plays a very very
Reed
major
Richards
role.
is like the main one of the main guys.
because Kang is a descendant. No, that's why they're bringing it in.
Yeah.
You saw Rama Tut. You saw the nigga Immortus. And I don't know who the other nigga is, but they alluding that he could either be the Red Centurion or the what's the other nigga? I forgot the other nigga name. Iron Lad.
Iron Man, actually,
Iron Lad.
in another.
So I mean, like in another reality. So like, yo, this was a pivotal movie in my eyes as far as like seeing those two ending scenes
They
specifically.
do that all the time with Ant-Man,
Crazy,
because like the
but
last
that's why I was
Ant-Man-
saying with Ant-Man for me, like this one specifically led me to this comic book, and it's called Kang the Conqueror. Only myself left to conquer. So it starts off with this little boy that's playing with time, and if you realize in the movie, there was a point where he said, "We're like kids." Fucking around with time or whatever it is when he's explaining everything to Shorty as far as like how things started with the multiversal war.
He like, it ain't what
it's
you
the
think it
same
is,
thing. It's just a repetitive cycle. The nigga is bored. He's mad entitled. He's a white boy. It seems like in the comic books they allude, and he's mad. He's just bored. He doesn't know what else to do, so he just goes back in time, and that's when we get Rama Tut. Is that what they call him? Rama Tut,
Yeah,
I think that's his name.
Yeah.
Rama Tut. He goes back, way back to ancient Egypt, takes over. Fantastic Four beats his ass. He escapes into time, and he ends up becoming like Immortus down the line. Like it's
And plus,
I can't. Those big three that we saw those are going to be the motherfuckers soon.
and he's trying to like destroy a lot of the. That's why it's the Conqueror in this one.
Exactly.
He's trying to
Remember he
destroy all the
said
other ones
time is his prison.
because they're altering the timelines, and that's why we're getting, what do they call it? Incursions?
Incursions.
And
They're
the
completely wipe
universes
shit
are
out.
colliding. So he's trying to stop all of this madness from happening by stopping and conquering and destroying all the other kings. So he's going into different like time. It's crazy, yo.
No.
It's about to get really, really wild. So overall, I think y'all generally enjoyed the movie for the most part, right?
I did. I gave it. If I had to score it, I'll give you a score if you want me to. If we're doing that, right
I
now.
mean, we could talk about the movie. How did
All right.
so from we're going? Of course, it's going to drag out a little bit, but from beginning to end, like I'm gonna say one of the things that made me mad just off the beginning with Shorty, the daughter. Why are you messing with the quantum realm, yo? None of this had to happen, yo. Just leave it alone. She's sending signals.
Hear me out, though.
She's sending signals to a place that she shouldn't be sending signals.
Hear me out, though.
And the family's cool with it, except for like the people that didn't know anything.
Her family, right?
You know how
At the
certain
end of
dynamics are.
you, not even that. Just looking at the because this is how I felt about Shorty in Red
But
Scarlet,
if the
Scarlet
manga
Witch.
was that dangerous, what the fuck?
You gotta listen to me. Let me get it out.
My bad.
In the goddamn Scarlet Witch. So in that shit, y'all couldn't understand why she was so like, why is she so fucking like hyper about this shit? They was blipped away. Her whole family was gone for 5 years. She lived by herself. She grew up by herself. She had no guidance and shit like that, yo. So I think honestly, I was frustrated as hell throughout her in the beginning at first, but then I thought about it. She was a kid, like in mind. She never grew up with anybody around. Her family was gone. They blipped away. So
blip
she
was
had
traumatic
nothing
for
but
people who survived.
she had nothing but what was in her home at that point. Like even when she met up, she was still there.
They did say that.
Was her mom going too?
Everybody was gone.
Everybody was gone.
Like, yo, she
except
was
for-
by
yeah, she
herself.
was, yeah,
so you could see
yeah.
why
And
she was
little,
even
like
acting
6
that
to
way. Like how she was acting about people.
11.
For the blip.
I don't take issue with that, but when she was going, why would, like the quantum realm had nothing to do with any of that.
All of them were gone. She started reading about the quantum realm. She said that she started reading about it in her uncle's old journals, and it just drew her in. She started being like, "Oh
Ant-Man
shit, like it's
pops.
another realm." Like, so she just started leading up.
Leader.
You know what I mean? Like, I liked it. After I realized, because at first she frustrated the shit out of me, because she
still
was the
pissed me
reason
off
it
with a lot
happened.
of shit.
She was the whole reason
Spoiled
this shit
brat.
happened. She is the reason this shit happened, yo. Like this gang shit right now. But is she? Because you didn't watch Loki, did you?
No, but eventually Kang was going.
You have to watch the end of Loki.
That's why I
Once
haven't
he
divulged.
killed Homeboy at the end,
I saw that.
everything restarted.
I saw that.
Yo, fam,
I watched that.
that means all of this shit we seeing could be restarted versions of all this shit. Even if how it ended in Ant-Man. You remember how he was kind of having that weird conversation in his head at the end of it? This might be an alternate reality that we in
that
right
nigga-
now, nigga. This shit like, oh, like you got to think about shit like that.
I ain't going to divulge
all of
on
them are
the
different
Loki.
realities.
I ain't going to
Everything
divulge
is
on
like-
Loki.
Ultimately, yeah, it's a multiverse. So, I mean,
when
it's
the-
all
the-
different realities. But we might be in this Kang reality because even in a deep dive that I saw from my nigga Heavy Spoilers, he started pointing out people that had green and purple on in that last scene.
Yeah.
To allude to my man Kang actually being around already at that point.
No, he had been around.
Exactly. So like, but what was we saying before that? What was we getting?
No, I
into
was just tying
before I
into
got
like the
that?
beginning and how he even got there.
Oh, the girl. We was why you was up. So what was you
I
saying
can't
about
think of
it?
her name right now. She has like two kind of versions of her.
Yeah, the
in
daughter.
comic
The
series,
daughter
but,
of Ant-Man.
No, but I was just gonna say that 'cause
Wasp.
It's just like, man, it's just like people
Wasp.
just need to leave
That's
stuff
Ant-Man's
alone.
daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people just need to leave stuff alone sometimes. But
She should have left the loud alone.
I like it. I like how they did it because she's just curious, yo. She never had anybody to really guide her into anything, bro. She was dolly.
And she's been
She was real live
guided
dolly
into the
as a
worst
kid.
situations.
She almost died. She almost got killed when she was like a baby. Like, yo, she's been through shit, nigga. Like, I don't understand how y'all not seeing that.
I saw all of that. I just don't want her to be meddling around with the quantum realm. You know?
Yeah.
And my whole thing is it's not just her because she was young and a kid and curious, so that's gonna happen. But the fact that
But do you think-
this is what? Hold on, let me finish because this is what you're not. I didn't even get to this. It's not even so much about her. It was so much about the grandfather, and they were like aiding her on, and they know better. They didn't tell the woman who had been in the quantum realm for 30 years, who would have been told them, "Yo, stop." Now, she wasn't talking and telling them stuff, so that wasn't helping. They didn't tell her father. They just letting her meddle around with the quantum realm,
Hear me
sending
out
signals
here.
and holding information from people, and then something crazy happens.
When do you think Loki's series happened? As far as like, I guess in the time frame of when this happened, right?
It was
And here's why I'm asking this. Because after they killed Buddy at the end of it, everything just reverted back to what it was. What if he didn't exist because he wiped him out before that, so she didn't even really know about this nigga before?
who didn't know about him.
Or like
The
her.
daughter- the daughter
Maybe the mom didn't know. In the reality they were originally in, maybe she didn't really know about this nigga Kang because he was already wiped out.
Grandma
This nigga
knew.
had the time.
Grandma knew the whole time.
Grandma
That's
did.
why
Do
she
you
wasn't
think so?
That's why she was like she kept holding
Because
information.
she came
from
back,
them.
and then
It was like, what are you not
But,
telling us?
but what I'm saying is at the end of Ant-Man 2, she was fine with allowing this nigga Ant-Man to go down into the quantum realm, no? Was she not? She was right next to them when they went down into the quantum realm. After they got her back, she was cool with it. After reality changed, she now is saying like, it's a whole new reality that we in right now, yo. Is what I'm getting at, yo. It's that type shit potentially. I might be reaching.
This is Duke Super.
I might be reaching, yo,
I
but
don't know about that.
I think so. Because they was
That's wild deep
I watched
dive.
this on their deep
I'm
dives.
talking about realities.
Go
within
look at the
realities
end
that
of
weren't
Ant-Man 2
realities.
for when they snapped him away. The mother is sitting right there, okay with this nigga Ant-Man going back into the quantum realm, not saying shit.
Why did he go back in there again?
They was just exploring. They was already doing the exploration, which is why the daughter was
Oh,
leading
but here's the
into
thing.
going into it.
They wasn't. They went to a deeper part of the quantum realm.
But they was still exploring the quantum realm, is what I'm getting at. That's how the daughter
But what
even
I'm
got
saying is-
into
But
it.
what I'm saying is, I also think she didn't think that they can get deeper into the part where she really was living and residing. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
She didn't think
That's
it was
an
gonna
argument.
Get that
That's an
serious.
argument.
And that's.
But
why
if
was-
she knew that he exists, why would she even fuck with it at all?
because I don't think she thought that they were going to be able to get
To get past the void.
Yes, that's why she was like really shocked when they got. She's like, "Whoa! Like we're here now. Like I didn't think we were going to get here."
Okay.
And that's when the whole demeanor
with it.
changed. It was
I'm
like,
with it.
oh man.
We'll see what
and
happens.
They're like, yo, what haven't you told us?
I enjoyed
she's
it.
been withholding information.
Yeah, she know how to get back
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I also
knows.
think it was just that. I mean, it might have been lazy writing.
She might be
It
like,
might have been lazy
like,
writing.
she got to be something else.
What you mean?
The mom, the grandma that came back, that knew everybody down there that was down there for a long time. Like
She just was surviving down there. That was what they was alluding to. She had been down there for 30 years. It was 30 years that she was down there.
She knew too many grand individuals, yo, and there was a lot of killers out there, yo.
For 30 years, she had to survive in Star Wars, nigga. Like, it was way different, yo. It was
did
real
remind me- a
live
lot
down
of it
there.
did remind me of like the episode 4, 5, 6, episode 6 of Star Wars.
Yeah,
like Ewoks.
that was some Star Wars
A lot of
shit
it
down
reminded
there,
me of
yo.
that. I felt like that movie was like, I've never done it, but I feel like that movie would be like somebody on acid and how they would view reality. That movie was trippy, yo.
It
like,
was.
Just the visuals.
It was a lot going on.
Yeah.
The juice was hilarious to make them so they can
That's my
understand.
favorite person, yo.
I like Buddy that had the mind reading ability, yo.
Say
He
how
But they
was
get that to a
funny.
brother.
Yeah.
As a black dude, you don't want to.
Nah, you don't want that. You don't want that at all, yo. You gonna have
Racist
all sorts of
comments.
racist shit
Low-key,
all day long.
that movie, I know why you liked it, Rich. That remind me of like one of your favorite movies when we was coming up, yo. That joint with Mos Def,
Yeah.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, yo.
That's my
They
shit.
need a matter of fact,
Anything of
cast
that
my
kind.
man Mos Def, or is it Yassine Bey now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cast him into the MCU, yo.
You do a great job.
Bring him back, yo. That nigga can act, yo.
No.
So,
I'm
what would
hyped.
y'all say is y'all favorite parts of the movie?
Oh, that's a good question. All right, let me think on this real quick.
I feel like on my end they did a great job with building like the humor, cause like I feel like with the Marvel shit they stretching so far now, like they rush a lot of like writing and shit. So like with like the last Thor, it was trash, but it was trying to be funny. I feel like this was the most recent over the top one that was hilarious and it tied the story together well. It just was all good. I felt like the comedy part was really good though, cause like the MODOK shit was hilarious, yo.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's what
fucking hilarious.
that is actually a good branch
The little
into
legs.
what I found funny about this movie. In the comics, MODOK was kind of picked on by Buddy in general. So they had one scene in there where my man Kang is talking with them while they're locked up in the prison, and MODOK decides to chime in or whatever for what he was doing, and that nigga just threw him immediately and told him like, "Yo, don't ever talk while I'm in the room, nigga, bitch, nigga." And it really dialed back.
definitely wowed him, yo.
It
That's
dialed
why,
back to
I'm
the
like,
comics
damn, you
though.
a
That's why I
bully, yo.
liked it so much. He really bullied this nigga,
yeah,
yo.
he
Like he
really
didn't.
bullied him.
This
Like,
nigga is
body,
only
nigga.
a mechanism made. What was it? Mechanized organism designed for
To
only
killing,
killing or
yeah.
something like that. You know what I mean, that's what this nigga's made for. Shut the fuck up. I don't pay you for that. I don't pay you for your insight. You go kill for me. That's it. I fucked with that.
They
I really
made a
fuck
joke.
with
It
that
was like,
tie-in
wouldn't
back
be
into that
MODOK?
shit, yo.
Something like that. Like,
Yo,
that-
yeah, and that mode off because it had an F in it. Yo, that nigga. That's why I like Ant-Man, yo. It had that witty, dry humor in there that I enjoyed personally.
So would you say one of your favorite stuff was the MODOK stuff?
Yeah, MODOK stuff for sure. I got the MODOK Funko coming, yo. Salute the Funko.
I would say one of my favorite joints, if not, it's a few joints I really like, but probably when Ant-Man he had to go inside of the core.
What they called it?
It's so much
Shit.
so much I
Infinite
wanna talk about. I'm trying to
probability.
mix
The
stuff
probability
up.
storm.
Yeah, 'cause I don't
probability storm.
There's
I feel
much
like
I wanna
that shit
cram
gonna
in
make
the
him
time,
crazy.
but when all the basically all the probabilities of him and were like trying to figure it out, and then they were all confused, but like ants, they all was able to kind of get on one accord to a degree at a certain point.
It was the daughter.
To achieve
Loved
a
his
common
daughter.
goal. But the funny thing is, like Mike said, the funny part was they had him when he worked at like Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
Randomly in that joint to kind of break it up because it was
Yeah,
mad
it's funny as
serious.
shit.
But
Yeah,
he
it
was
was
helping
funny.
out at one point. So that was probably my favorite portion. It's so much we could talk about. We could do this for like an hour, but I'll jump straight into what bothered me. I'll start this one off because I'll ask everybody, something that you didn't like. It just felt like for Kang to be as strong as he was, and we can dive into what they're possibly trying to do with this portion of it, because I have a whole deep dive on this. It was like, yeah, all the future tech, he was able to move people with his fingers and all of that. But when he got to the end, it was just kind of like, really, Ant-Man was the one to kind of put you out of commission? Like, in that manner? Because the Wasp came in, it just felt like it was too easy to kind of like
I agree.
And I don't necessarily believe he's dead. We'll get into that in a minute. But for them to kind of like it just seemed too easy for me with him to have all those powers. It seemed like, I'm like, bro.
But he didn't have those powers.
His tech and his suit.
His suit had those powers. And the suit was completely destroyed at the end.
But my thing is, it just seemed too easy to even get to him to destroy his suit.
Yo, it was just that MODOK situation. MODOK threw himself out there as the sacrificial lamb, and they cooked him. And the ants ran down on him. And that was it. All he had left was that one joint. And he controlled him for a second with that one joint. He got one beam off, and then that was it.
See,
but he still had the handwork.
He put
where he get that handwork?
That was that Creed handwork.
The Creed handwork was there, yo.
See, he stopped his head and all type of stuff. I thought Ant-Man was going to die. Did y'all think he was
He
going to die
was
real quick?
yes.
He fucked him up.
I kind of wanted him to kill him on the low, yo. That'd have been fire.
But that's one of the parts about me, because I know. All right, so I feel like they didn't take chances in this movie that I would have liked. I feel like they've been playing it safe with a lot of the Marvel movies. Like, I feel like somebody in this Ant-Man and the Wasp, especially
they
with the
just killed him.
Somebody should
have
They should have had.
By your third movie, somebody's supposed to die.
Somebody should have died.
I'm with that.
I'm with that. Should have killed Ant-Man when the portal closed the first
or
time
maybe,
she come back and the niggas be gone and nobody there.
Instead of the Wasp coming through, maybe the Pops come through to try to help him out, and in the midst of helping him out, he helps him to get Kang out of there, but Kang kills him, and somebody should have died.
Yeah,
they've been playing it way too safe.
Yeah,
and it's becoming a little anticlimactic with some of these joints. I'm gonna let y'all cut.
With the anticlimactic, my gripe as far as like similar was when they got sucked through the portal or whatever because she was fucking with the quantum realm or whatever, right? Why did the ants randomly fly to another portion of the dimension?
MODOK called them there. He didn't call for the ants. He sent that tech up to get them.
But why did they like just have hella time to like develop and
they went to a whole different version of whatever that realm was as far as that reality, yo. There was a different time frames. They said said it in the dialogue. He said they had been there for thousands of years.
Why would they still know the other guy?
For whatever reason, that was just ingrained in them from their, I guess, breeding. So they just kept waiting for this nigga to come back around. That's why they was communicating with him when he came back.
I just didn't understand.
They traveled through 5 minutes worth of time. That was 1,000 worth of years, or 1,000 years worth of time in 5 minutes or something that he said. So they just graduated into gigantic ants. It was kind of wild. I ain't gonna hold you. The gigantic ants was kind of fucking wild.
They kind of took that. What movie was that? Remember, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yes, they look exactly like them big ass ants.
That's what it felt like.
It was a little much. It was a little much. That was
my only gripe with it, though. I did like that because I expected over the top.
That
was the only part I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna let Rich.
Like, that's how we gonna get Kang to swarm of ants?
I don't know, man. I'm excited. I know what you're saying as far as...
What was
Ant-Man? Oh, what didn't I like?
Yeah, what didn't you like?
Okay.
Because there was definitely stuff not...
That was definitely shit I didn't like.
It wasn't a perfect movie.
I'm just trying to think of something specifically. I would probably say, I guess in the initial knee-jerk reaction, I guess on the initial watch, it was definitely his daughter. I was just frustrated with her for the whole time because she caused all this shit. And you know how we was big on, what was Buddy that caused the goddamn ending of the world, that Star-Lord. I'm still on his ass to this day because he the whole reason this shit is even going on right now. But, initially, she was kind of the sore spot for me because I just couldn't understand why she was so gung-ho like that. Yeah. Granted, she was in the blipped world. She was in that blipped world for 5 years. I can give her maybe an excuse there. Maybe she start picking up traits and seeing how people were mistreated in her time being alone, and then everybody came back, and it was like, oh, shit, it's even worse. If I had to think of anything else that was worse, it would probably be just maybe that little bit of that interaction that we had with Bill Murray's character real quick.
Oh, yeah.
That interaction right there, it just felt forced.
It was more for the cameo than anything.
If I had to think of anything else.
Anytime he's been in a movie
just for the cameo, and it felt like that.
Do y'all remember, what was that zombie movie?
Zombieland.
Zombieland, and he was in there. It was forced. It's because it's him.
Well, what I did like about that part was it showed on some adult stuff, yeah, I mean, you know, you out with somebody, like, you've been away from, like, your partner, you got to kind of move on. So she was
Yeah.
trying, both of them was talking about how they tried to kind of move on
Yeah.
to some adult stuff. And it was like, it wasn't the best situation, yo, because it wasn't you, but, like,
That was the most player thing he could have said.
Once
I've been out here
again,
for 30 years.
That was the
accountability.
most player thing he could have said.
Hold yourself accountable. She was gone for 30 years, buddy. What you think she was doing?
That's just being real with yourself.
Being
Really
real, bro.
with the
Stop being
world,
fucking weird.
Real with the
That
way
nigga didn't even
life
take that weird.
works.
She was gone for 30 years. That nigga wasn't even mad.
30, yo.
That nigga's just crazy.
Before we get off of this, how did y'all feel about Jonathan Majors? And y'all can talk about some of this stuff, but how did y'all feel about his performance in the movie overall?
Loved it.
I feel like he did great.
I like
And,
him
overall,
even being. Oh, go ahead. You go first.
A sidebar, since y'all getting real left field with y'all Universal stuff, and I thought of this mid-conversation. What if Thanos did the snap to try to prevent Kang?
I mean, that's been a looming theory. for a
I didn't
while.
know that because I'm like, maybe this nigga knew it was something worse out here, yo. Like,
It's only gonna get worse.
yeah, it's some way worse individuals out this bitch.
What was the
Like,
question again, Zay? My bad.
Just his performance. In
Okay,
general.
Jonathan Major's performance. Yeah, he cooked that shit. If I had to give him anything, because it allows you, with those cutscenes at the end that we were alluding to, you see the different ways that he's portraying himself. He could be an enemy. The nigga was a Avenger at some point within the comics as Iron Lad. It's a lot of shit that he can play, and we'll love it because the nigga can act. Like, yo, the nigga's cold, yo. He's just cold. I fuck with him. He did that role well as the conqueror, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I would say as you can tell what they're doing, they made him seem a little more on the evil side, but you can kind of. This is when they build great villains or whatever. When there's like a little bit of truth to what they're saying, mixed in with it, because you can have mixed emotions. So that's when you really get it. And there's definitely some. I understand where he's coming from in it to an extent. But overall, his performance. I'm gonna tell you something. When I first watched it, right? Well, I only watched it once, but when I first was thinking about it after I watched it, I was talking after. I was like, man, I just felt like I understand, especially his role. He's supposed to be kind of theatrical and animated with it, but I felt like at points I was like, man, this feels a little too theatrical, right? And I still kind of feel like that, but what I ultimately felt like was that movie, especially the Ant-Man series, I feel like he was acting beyond the movie to an extent. I don't feel like that movie typically lends itself to like a great performance, if you get what I'm saying. The Ant-Man, like, it's not one of those out of the Marvel, like, great performances, you kind of expect them out of like the Captain America series.
So are you saying that maybe Kang shouldn't even have been potentially introduced with Ant-Man?
I don't necessarily. It's weird because I be going back and forth. I feel that he should have not.
I'm not.
It makes some sort of
I'm
sense.
not mad at that
My
point.
only
Though.
rebuttal, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but that's why you have to watch Loki.
Well, he's animated in that too. I understand.
Yeah.
No,
He's like,
I know enough.
he definitely be on
But
that
that's-
same.
I watched
weird-
enough.
Like, yeah.
I know.
That's the He
That nigga
Who
be on that
Remains,
weird
right?
shit,
That's He Who
yeah, like-
Remains
But
at the
that
end
one
of
He
the
was
show.
sound just like
That one was more kooky. Like he felt like he would have fit more in
Of that
one.
kind of role.
I get you. Yeah,
The
yeah,
Conqueror shouldn't have been. I see what he's kind of.
Because he was nice.
Because it felt like when I was watching, it felt like he had sauce. But I was like, maybe it's just this movie overall, at least, especially up until they introduced him, really had him talking. It wasn't nowhere near in that sort of realm of acting.
Yeah. Okay.
It was just more jokey, kind of fun and cool, like nice visuals. I didn't think, for me personally, we'll get to the ratings after. I thought the movie was cool, but before we completely get to just rating it after, I don't feel like he's dead. I feel like he's probably going to be like in the beyond.
Yeah.
Of course, because that's how you're going to get Secret Wars and all of that.
Of course.
So, and
Or
that's why
didn't
Fantastic
they
Four
blow
has
it
to
up
come
like
and all
how
that.
they blew it up at the end of like to start that movie? Like how that whole movie started?
Something's gonna happen where
Oh, he just in that-
He's in a whole nother.
Isn't he just in that probability storm? He just down there in that shit?
He's in the beyond, yo.
Okay.
And that's when they're gonna have the Secret Wars, and I think they're gonna drag everybody to that. It's gonna get crazy. That's why Fantastic Four is coming, and it has to come because it plays like the biggest role in all of this.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Doom is gonna come some way down.
Dr.
the road.
Doom is a
It's gonna be
problem, too.
crazy. It's gonna be
That
really
other
crazy.
nigga with the big head too. What's the green nigga that had the real big forehead? Yo, he was on like Iron Man, like Thor, all the shit. Like he was in everything. He look a low, not MODOK. He looked like a healthy MODOK, yo, with a green face, yo. Big ass forehead, Frankenstein looking nigga, yo. The real Marvel fans will know who I'm talking about, but he was definitely a problem.
So yeah, let's get into these ratings.
What y'all rank this, yo?
Yeah.
Who you want to start?
I'll start. I would say I would give it. I really enjoyed it. As far as Marvel projects, I kind of got upset after like Doctor Strange. I was like, where are we going with this? You feel me? For a little minute. This kind of helped me bring back faith, along with, well, I did say Doctor Strange, so I'll give it like an 8.5. 8.5.
Wakanda Forever was decent.
Wakanda Forever, my bad.
That was mad good.
My bad. I give this an 8.5.
I gave it an 8. I had an 8 out of 10. Originally, when I was pissed off at the daughter, I had it at like 7 because I was just pissed off at her just starting the whole shit. Anytime I have a person that's literally like it's one individual motherfucker that started this show, like that
end of the world
is
and shit.
usually where I'm gonna be most pissed off, yo. But I wasn't mad at it once I took that into frame and I at least put that onto her. The fact that she was just raised a little different, solo for a long time, for 5 years of her life.
She told them like
So,
my reality.
Her world
hasn't been
is
the
way
same since I was a
different.
little
Yeah.
kid.
I mean, her reality is completely different. So I wasn't mad at how they took this. And I also just like how if you really listen to what this nigga was doing in his head at the end of the movie, I really don't think this nigga realized. I think he did go a little crazy, like Mike was saying, within that probability storm.
Zay,
Because was that Zay? Was that Zay that said that? My
Zay
bad.
said it, and then I just fed off of it. But yeah,
MODOK alluded to the fact that if you stay down here too long, you lose your mind. That type
That nigga
shit.
said that
So
shit.
I
But
But it
wouldn't be
showed the
mad.
power of the ants and the unity if you stay focused. But it showed from all the way from the first movie how he was able to hone. Remember, they kept trying. He didn't know how to control the ants.
Yeah.
And then he had to finally work
little
towards it.
focus.
So that kind of showed like the bigger like goal of when they reach into when he needed to really control the ants. So it all ties in a pretty dope way.
Okay.
How it gets there.
Where you at with it, Zay?
Personally, I feel like Marvel projects, and some of them have been cool and better than others, of course. From Eternals and
Eternals was trash.
all of these joints, I feel like
Straight
they've all of the movies have taken a dive.
Definitely.
Personally,
This phase has been
I feel like
been slumming.
I don't want to speak for anybody. I feel like this one might be getting a little rated kind of high because of how y'all felt about previous joints. If you go back to me personally, if I go back to some of the older ones, I don't feel like this stacks up anywhere near personally where it should be. It's
because those were so great.
But I'm comparing it to just overall. I'm not going to compare it to the time
That's
that
tough
it's
to
in.
do though. Like to keep
the
repeating that kind of
25th
thing
is
after
kinda
we've
hard.
seen
When
it.
you
Bring in the
27th.
King,
But
and
we've
bring in-
seen it now though.
When you
Like
bring
it's
in the-
hard to like do something new.
When
Know
you
what
bring
I
in
mean?
a King and a Jonathan Majors and so much source material that you already have because Marvel's already been made, they just have to put a twist on it. My personal opinion was a 7. And I
Oh,
kind of
no,
I
I
kind of
respect
wanted
it.
to
I'm not
go
mad at
6.5.
7. I'm not mad at
I'm still
7.
teetering
respect
on
it.
that line. Like it was cool. I remember because I told
6.5
you, Ashley,
is wild.
Ashley, Ant-Man is her favorite series out of all of them. For some reason, that's her joint. And she left out like it was cool. She just and I asked her.
All right,
first,
that's
I was
a good gauge.
I was like, is it just me or was it just cool? She was like, nah, you right. It was
Fuck
just,
with Ashley.
It was just
OD,
cool. She was like,
I
she didn't
kind of
dislike
value that.
it.
I kind
but
of
she was
value
like,
that.
huh?
I value that opinion, yo. That's kind of blowing me a little
y'all
bit.
both
Now you
creative.
starting.
That's why
I
I'm
might
being
have to go
quiet.
watch it again. Like it's kind of blowing.
I
me a
rocked
little
with it.
bit.
She was like, it wasn't bad. She's like, she didn't dislike it, but she was like, it's not something I feel like I need to go back and see. And she loves the Ant-Man series.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was like, I rank it like the third one. It was cool, but like,
Okay, so
she's
she
not
feel
talking
like that's
about it anymore.
last.
She
So
ain't- she ain't
I
been
thought it
talking
was
about
second.
See, my thing
And
with
it had a lot of plot holes. Like that's why I was like, this can get. If we want to talk about this for an hour and a half, I could break. It's so much stuff I really want to break down. But I'm like, I know we ain't gonna do that.
But it's gonna be really hard with the MCU now. Like after Endgame, we
You giving
already
them a
knew
pass.
what was up. Like
Give them
yo,
a pass.
no, it's
Yeah.
just like, but all
Yeah,
it
but
got
for
so
me-
astronomical.
for me
It's just
too,
like it's gonna be like
They
this,
have
yo.
villains better than that.
But it's
coming.
tough for them to like.
They do.
I think
I've-
it's
I've
tough
looked
for
up
them
deep dives.
to realize like
And I like
you
I like
still
Mo-
got to make it cinematic.
I like Multiverse of Madness more than I like this movie. That's my
Really?
personal- Yeah, I did.
I actually like this more than Multiverse of Madness.
I like the
I
darkness.
feel like they were about even.
I like this more.
Cause I like both of them, but
I like how they were able to really expand.
I like Spider-Man. I probably say it would be Wakanda Forever, Spider-Man, this Doctor Strange. I mean Ant-Man and then Doctor Strange for me. for the movies. Was it any other movies? Am I missing one?
Thor's all the way at the bottom.
Oh yeah, that's all. That ain't even in it. Eternals and Eternals and Thor.
Eternals and Thor don't
trash.
even count. Yeah.
Throw them in the fucking trash.
They
I didn't even see
They
it. Y'all
should've
don't
just-
like Thor at all.
They
Thor
should have
was
gave
butt,
us
yo.
just like a what if episode.
Yo,
for those
hell
two.
yeah! I would have took for both of them. You could have
30
gave us
minutes
a what
apiece,
if
Pete.
episode.
30 minutes
for sure.
apiece.
But you know what I like
Chad.
about the Multiverse of Madness more was the main like villain. Like I thought they were able to go far deeper and get more out of. Why can't I think of her name right now?
Wanda.
God,
Wanda.
yeah. I just felt like it was going to different places. It got dark.
They
He was really
rushing
saying-
everything now, bro.
This
Scarlet
one-
Witch.
And
My
I know
bad.
King, Scarlet Witch, and I know King is going to get stretched out.
They could have went deeper
Scarlet
with her
Witch too.
parts.
All of them are gonna be
Scarlet Witch is cold.
She's way
man.
crazy.
Yo, like
But
y'all
They
niggas
all
is
gonna be
sleeping.
tied in
Phoenix
for a long
everybody
time.
got
What?
to come out at some point.
Yo, X-Men and
we
shit,
gonna
yo,
get there.
I can't wait. I'm just hyped to see where it
Isn't
go.
Phoenix like the strongest one? Like low key, like she's like
It's
legit.
That's a whole other
legit.
deep dive.
All right, yeah. All right, let's leave it alone.
Yeah, we still got a
yeah.
apocalypse and shit. We got all sorts of shit. Yeah.